E3? The most important gaming industry event in the world? Nonsense, not according to Gamescom anyway, who have been the actual biggest trade event for years.
Last year saw 370,000 people flocking to Cologne, Germany to get their hands on the hottest upcoming releases, but this year, Gamescom have gone one better.
Geoff Keighley, host of the Game Awards and bestest friends with Hideo Kojima by the way, presented this year's E3 rivaling conference show, Opening Night Live, seen live by over 50,000 people on stream over a condensed 2-hour package of announcements.
And, well, yes, there were other external shows that went live just before official opening night, because that's the standard now. Just ask poor upstaged E3. But there were plenty of further reveals and announcements as the week-long event progressed.
Rather predictably, we got fewer new reveals than we did at the LA Hype Party 2 months prior, but there were still a lot of tasty details to tuck into.
There's a farming simulator esports league for a start. Look at that thing! But what about, Farming Simulator Esports League, the big announcements? Well, let's have a look.
I'm Peter.
And I'm Ben from TripleJump.
And here are the 10 most important announcements of Gamescom 2019.
Number 10. Marvel's Avengers. Our favourite market stall knockoff superheroes were conspicuously lacking from any big presentation show or live stream at Gamescom, but don't worry, they were just delayed getting their cosplay costumes on. A playable demo fleshed out the cinematic scene at E3 with an early tutorial level of the bridge attack during A-Day, and despite the not quite MCU heroes, seeing actual gameplay alleviated our fears somewhat with some competent Arkham-style combat that is, by the way, guided by God of War combat designer Vince Napoli. Each of the cast had their unique features, from hammers and shields to guns, lasers, and the Hulk's surprisingly agile parkour skills and energy charge thing? Crystal Dynamics head Scott Amos revealed that there will be main hero missions to progress the story and Warzone missions, which sound like character-specific, repeatable multiplayer missions. Leveling, loot, customizable costumes, and skill trees are in, with skills transferable on the fly. Perhaps an early clue to how this whole live service shindig will work, promoting a one-leveled character system over different builds across multiple saves, if that makes any sense. But crucially, all missions and heroes added after launch will be free, with monetization limited to cosmetics only. We really hope that's true, but the potential of the huge Marvel roster makes this both an exciting and an extremely worrying prospect in this environment of cynical live service cash cows. Then again, with the news of Spider-Man's messy breakup with the MCU, maybe this alternate reality will let us keep hold of Spidey? Maybe?
Number 9. Gears 5 Story and Horde Mode. We're mere weeks away from another installment of angry shooting from our friendly neighbourhood muscle men, or women, so naturally Gears 5 was pushed heavily during both Gamescom Opening Night Live and Xbox's own event. Another story trailer gave us more details of what's going on, showing us more of new leading lady Kate, who is suffering with some major migraines, trying to wrap her head around weird visions of locust swarms and one impossibly stacked scientist. Alright, who gave Bill Goldberg a lab coat? Old Man Marcus is still here, and the Cole Train's return too, in a giant mech suit, naturally. Even Halo Reach characters Cad and Emil joined the T-2000 on the list of cameos in the new Horde mode, which saw plenty of new details emerge too. Characters now have ultimate abilities, albeit uninspired ones like airstrikes, X-ray vision and cloak, and you also have more in-depth progression and unlockable perk cards. But will it be enough to keep people hooked on the once-loved wave defense mode that has since been overrun by other gaming gimmicks like Battle Royales and Funko Pops? Time will tell.
Number 8. Call of Duty Modern Warfare Alpha. This soft reboot of the long-running series in its most popular iteration seems hell-bent on causing controversy at every turn. We've been drip-fed information about the main campaign over the last few months, from a terrorist attack in London's West End to playing as a refugee in a fictional country ravaged by civil war. But surprisingly, we've still not seen much of this notorious campaign, with Infinity Ward keeping their cards close to their Kevlar-padded chest. We did, however, hear plenty about the multiplayer, at least the 2v2 gunfight mode, which is what everyone was waiting for, right? Not the 100-player carnage that was mentioned, no, not at all, but 2v2, that's fine. But at least PS4 owners got to experience the open alpha during the weekend directly after Gamescom, and it's familiar, yet different. It's fast, lethal, loud, and just about everything you've come to expect from Call of Duty, but here's hoping the grounded reboot does the series the justice it deserves.
Number 7. New Google Stadia games. Google hosted their second Stadia Connect presentation in similar clean white corporate dystopian style that made us feel weirdly like we were waiting at a doctor's surgery for a new cybernetic arm transplant. Or maybe we're only thinking that because we saw more of Cyberpunk 2077 in a brief trailer confirming the highly anticipated Keanu Reeves simulator will be on the streaming platform come next year. A new Doom Eternal trailer was shown, and it looks like medieval times have opened a branch in hell, what with all the thrones and battle axes. Mortal Kombat 11 was also confirmed to be a launch title for Stadia, coming this November. Among the other new announcements were Kine, an intriguing rhythm-based puzzle platformer where robots try to be musicians, Orcs Must Die 3, a return for the popular orc-slaying wave defense game that nearly cost me my degree, and Watch Dogs Legion, which confirmed we can also recruit Grandad Sassins, so our Grand Sassins have someone to talk about the good old days with. Isn't that sweet?
Number 6. Ori, now on Switch. It wasn't surprising that Nintendo did what they always do these days and decided to forego an actual live conference appearance in favour of a pre-recorded direct stream. What was a surprise is that they chose to focus entirely on indie games, with a couple of classics dropping right now and a poached exclusive launching soon. Ori and the Blind Forest, formerly a Microsoft exclusive, will release on the Switch on the 26th of September, which is another tentative step in this new fling between Microsoft and Nintendo after Cuphead's launch and recent pillow talk of cross-platform play. Two other indie favourites, the Hotline Miami Collection and Super Hot, were also announced, going live as soon as they were announced, and, well, that was about it for big Nintendo news, aside from The Witcher 3 getting a release date on the 15th of October 2019. Mind you, we did see a few promising indie titles, not least the bonkers-looking Freedom Finger, boasting a star-studded voice cast including Nolan North, John DiMaggio, and Sam Riegel. Riegel? One of those.
Number 5. Sony buys INSOMNIAC. With a concise 2-hour show and very few awkward on-stage moments, Geoff Keighley's opening night bonanza went off mostly without a hitch, although one such announcement from Sony coinciding with the event did threaten to upstage Kojima's BFF at one point. Sony have now officially acquired INSOMNIAC Games, the studio most recently known for the exceptional Spider-Man title released last year. Now, granted, INSOMNIAC's best games have been PlayStation exclusives anyway, including Ratchet & Clank, Spyro the Dragon, and the Resistance series, so it won't upset the status quo as far as exclusivity is concerned. In fact, the rare times they've dabbled with other platforms, with Sunset Overdrive and Fuse, met with lukewarm results. So this unintended sabotage of everything not PlayStation kind of proves their steadfast loyalty to Sony. But it's huge news for PlayStation fans, and the added support of being an internal studio further strengthens Sony's pedigree for first-party titles, and perhaps grants even more funding for a team with a superb track record. You hear that, Disney? We don't need your stupid Avengers, because Spidey's definitely coming back for a second swing of the web now. Surely. Yes?
Number 4. Live-action thriller, Erica. Back in 2017, there was a trailer at Paris Games Week for a unique-looking, story-driven title utilising PlayStation's PlayLink functionality and, well, let's say some suspiciously lifelike graphics. Much like the PlayLink and its smartphone control features, this title also appeared to have been phased out. Until now! An announcement that came almost out of nowhere, minor leaks notwithstanding. This live-action interactive thriller looks like a throwback to the FMV days of old, with a healthy sprinkling of point-and-click adventure for good measure. The trailer provided an intriguing murder mystery, even veering into Spookums territory with branching dialogue choices and more interactions with inane objects than your average Tuesday night at David Quage's house. The title is the first from developer Flavorworks, but the studio had backing from Peter Molyneux, and there's definitely a bit of the Molyneux about this ambitious project, bringing on English actress Holly Earl for the role of Erica herself. Oh, and it's available to play right now as of the time of the announcement for only £9 for PlayStation owners.
Number 3. Disintegration. What initially looked like a teaser for Destiny's Shadowkeep expansion turned out to be a surprise new IP. Opening Night Live gave us a mostly cinematic trailer for Disintegration, offering glimpses of a beautiful love story between one robot pilot and his hoverbike, but also sprinkled in some gameplay that left us, well, even more baffled, to be honest. Was it a mech shooter, a squad-based tactical experience, a ruining the livelihoods of honest farmers simulator? Made by Halo co-creator Marcus Leto, this doesn't look like your typical space shooter saga, but rather an unusual FPS strategy hybrid. Set in a world destroyed by a global pandemic where humanity have transplanted their brains into robotic shells, we're given just enough context to understand why everyone's scrapping with giant robots. Developers V1 Interactive demoed their 5v5 game mode called Retrieval, where each player flies about on their grav cycle and commands an AI crew made up of supporting ground troops, along with tank and mech pilots. There are even hints of MOBA in here too, with multiple lanes and AI populating the battlefield. But fear not the dreaded live service label, as this title will be more, quote, conventional, including a 12 to 15 hour single-player campaign. Watch this space.
Number 2. Borderlands 3 endgame content. Arguably the biggest news on Borderlands 3 is that Randy Pitchford wasn't present at Gamescom, presumably a PR move to avoid any further controversies as we approach its 13th of September release. Instead, we had Paul Sage talking us through the endgame content, which is, wait for it, is everyone sitting down?
Yeah.
A wave-based horde mode. Ah!
Uh-oh.
That's it. Game of the year. We're calling it now. Okay, it's nothing revolutionary, but the Circle of Slaughter makes a return along with a repeatable trial called Proving Grounds, giving Vault Hunters of any level a chance to nab valuable loot at the end. During the Inside Xbox show, which at one point called it Borderlands 3, good job guys, not like it's one of the year's biggest titles, we also saw more of Flack, the Beastmaster character. A less controversial Randy Varnell, talked us through Flack's 3 favourite pets, letting us choose between a skag, a spider ant, and a jabber, a sort of a monkey with a gun, apparently. The pets won't take up an action skill slot either, meaning you can use powers like Gamma Verse that buffs your pet, a rack attack from the sky, or a stealth ability.
I will.
Tear him a new one,
Can't wait. I've been waiting for this.
Tear him a new one.
Number 1, Death Stranding is still really weird. Yes, the biggest news was undoubtedly Death Stranding, although can something count as news if we still have no idea what's going on? Geoff Keighley finally introduced his best friend, Hideo Kojima, after getting texts from his best friend, Hideo Kojima, all night, and began with a montage of all their best moments together, because that's what best friends do, even if they need an interpreter to communicate with each other. We saw more of Kojima's other friends too, in game form at least, starting with Norman Amazon delivery extraordinaire Reedus and his portable windmill, along with Margaret Qualley, who played Mama, so named for her habit of breastfeeding her invisible baby that's stuck on the other side but still connected by a ghostly umbilical cord. So far, so normal. Next up is Guillermo del Toro's character, Deadman, along with Bridge Baby, aka BB, aka Battery Baby, who needs a recharge and system update. Have you tried turning it off and on again? It exists in a mechanical womb, linked to a surrogate mother miles away, who is technically dead because that bridges the connection between these two worlds and helps them see all the other BTs and... Sorry, we feel like we've taken all of the drugs just talking about this. For God's sake, Kojima, at least try and make sense. But the gameplay told us something, right? Kind of. You can urinate on command and use it as a weapon or to make piss mushrooms. You can walk around the Scottish Highlands. You can meet Geoff Keighley, who is obviously in the game now because they're best friends, didn't you know? Different voice actor, mind. But cheer up, Geoff. Kojima-san will return your 29 calls eventually. And you can rock your battery baby back to sleep if it gets upset after you, say, intentionally fall 40 feet off a cliff and land on your front. With insane features, convoluted plotline, and a star-studded cast, this is looking like peak Kojima, for better or worse. We'd like to think everything will become clear on release come November, but, well, piss mushrooms.
And that's our list. What did you make of Gamescom 2019? Will Death Stranding become the cinematic achievement of the century, or will Kojima be the victim of his own hubris? As always, let us know what you thought of Europe's E3 in the comments below.
You can follow TripleJump on Twitter here, and while you're at it, why not support the things you enjoy by having a look at our Patreon? Finally, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. I'm Peter.
And I'm Ben from TripleJump. Come here, Peter.
Oh, yeah.
And thanks.
We'll see you next time.
And thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Bye.